Hey guys, it's Celestia, and to the surprise of absolutely no one who knows me or my channel, I'm rambling about anime again. I've really just been in a constant state of rambling about anime since like high school. It's just that now I'm subjecting more people to it. Recently, I made a video listing the top 10 anime art tropes I hated the most, largely because Studio Bones fish-eyed Atsushi again and I just couldn't not talk about it. It's linked in the iCard above if you want to go watch it, and it was so much fun to make that I had to keep it going by doing the opposite. See, when I made that one, I asked on Twitter and my community tab what all of your least favorite tropes were. And while I definitely agreed with and included a lot of them, there were others that I was like, oh wait, what? You hate that? It's the best. And you guys responded similarly to the video itself when I posted it. A lot of the things I listed as hated tropes were things you guys actually liked a lot. So in this follow-up video, I'm gonna list and illustrate my top 10 best favorite anime art tropes to see how many of you agree, or conversely, actually hate them, because it's so funny to see how polarizing these things actually apparently are. To be clear though, this is all just for fun. They're my opinions, not definitive rankings or statements of fact. And I'm not trying to say that these tropes are objectively good or bad, or that people who disagree are wrong. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but when I jokingly listed a bunch of generic brown-haired anime boys in the last one with the disclaimer that it's mostly a visual thing and not a reflection of the characters themselves, I had hundreds of comments genuinely angry with me for attacking their favorite precious little meow meows, so chill. These are jokes. This is for fun. Although I guess asking the internet to chill isn't the most productive request. But before I give you my top 10 best anime art tropes and inevitably start some kind of discourse over it, let me take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare, if you don't know, is the largest and, in my correct opinion, best online learning community out there, with classes on anything and everything. Illustration, graphic design, marketing, coding, editing, music production. There's really nothing you can't learn there. It's where I learned everything I needed for my career long before I had the opportunity to start working with them, from video editing to webcomic creation to new illustration techniques. And that's because Skillshare truly does offer everything you could possibly need to make the dream of a creative career a reality. And while most of my recent classes have been art or creativity based, I found one this time that really reminded me how beneficial their library of classes can be for the career side too. Notion for YouTube creators. Easily manage your creative projects, taught by Asante Bean. I'm usually making and researching anywhere from 3 to 5 videos at once, which means a plethora of different tasks for each one. Making the speed paints, researching the topics, writing the scripts, recording the audio, editing the videos, managing sponsor deadlines. There's a lot that goes into it and it's hard to keep track of. This course taught me how to use Notion, a really helpful platform, to organize those things into a to-do list and calendar that's less overwhelming and actually doable, which is a blessing for scheduling and, well, getting a few more much-needed hours of sleep. But that's just one course out of many that can help you no matter what you need to learn. I guarantee you'll find one, or more likely many, that are right for you. And you can find that out right now via the link in the description. The first 500 people to use my link will get access to one of Skillshare's best offers, 30 days free and 40% off your first year of Skillshare membership. It's an amazing deal and one that you should absolutely check out. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and now let's talk about anime. Alright, so these tropes aren't going to be in any particular order, but I'm going to start it off with the one that might be the most controversial because it's the one that I saw a lot of people submit as their most hated trope, and I will fight tooth and nail as its biggest defender. Number 1, when eyes and eyebrows under hair are still visible. Like, the hair that should be obscuring them is effectively transparent to varying degrees. Sometimes it'll just be the line art of the eyes and the eyebrows that's visible. Sometimes they'll be colored altogether over the hair that's supposed to be hiding them. And I get the hate, I really do. Obviously those wouldn't be visible in reality, and some examples of this are so unrealistic that it almost breaks the immersion of believability. But the whole style's exaggerated and it's not supposed to be realistic, so why is one particular unrealistic thing so hated when others aren't? I know I said in the first video that I hated impossible body types as a trope, so one could argue, well, if it's not bound by realism, then that should be okay too. And I mean, yes, fair enough, that's a valid opinion. That one just gets me particularly heated because of the tangible negative effect it has on body image, because some kid looking at impossible body types could end up feeling bad that their own body doesn't look like that. They probably wouldn't look at an eye drawn over the hair and develop insecurities over the fact that their hair isn't also semi-transparent. And listen, like, yeah, I agree that it looks bad when it's literally the whole ass eye completely covered by hair and still drawn underneath it anyway. But I think it's a scale, you know? Like, if the hair is only covering a little bit of the eyes and you can't move the hair to not cover them without it looking bad, or erase that part of the eyes or eyebrows without it looking bad, I don't think it's unforgivably egregious to draw the eyes over the hair. I do it all the time because I like it, it's cute, and I will die on the hill that is eyes over hair anime art. Besides, think about it in reality. If you look at a person whose hair is partially obscuring their eyebrows and eyes, you can usually still see the eyes and eyebrows to a significant degree because the hair is made up of tiny strands that, while they do form clumps to an extent, are each tiny and separate with space in between between them. In anime, we reduce those clumps into big shapes and forms without that empty space, and obscuring the eyes and eyebrows beneath them altogether as a result doesn't always look good. So technically, there is a reasonable basis for the eye over the hair trope, but there doesn't need to be because it's cute, okay? It's cute. And if my character has bangs, I'm not just gonna let that mean they have no eyebrows, you know? It looks weird if I do. If not the eyes, at least let me have my eyebrows over bangs. At least that. I'm not asking for a lot. Okay, number 2 best anime art trope, the glasses glare. You know the one. We all know the one. Where a character with glasses announces something dramatic and serious while pushing those glasses up, and as if the sun itself, in recognition of the severity of what they're saying, decides to offer one single targeted ray of light to turn their glasses into pure white reflections, and then disappear again once the moment passes and suddenly we can see their eyes again. I live and die for the glasses glare moments. I always have. There is nothing I hold dearer to my heart than watching Ango Sakaguchi only be able to offer a dramatic reveal of information if accompanied by the ethereal glow of his glasses there to signify exactly how big of a deal this is. As a glasses wearer myself, if there's one art trope I could make into a reality, it might very well be this one. There is very little I wouldn't sacrifice for the ability to push up my glasses and blind anyone in my vicinity with their glare at will whenever I announce something important, especially because I have nothing important to announce, so it would probably be something about as massively significant as our Uber Eats order has arrived. It is truly the dream. Okay, best anime art trope number 3, the giant eyes. I feel like this is less of a trope and more of just an anime standard. Like, most anime is pretty stylistically dependent on at least somewhat exaggerated features, usually in the form of larger eyes and smaller mouths and noses, but there's a scale to it. Like, I don't mean the typical exaggeration found in most anime by nature of the style alone. I mean the giant ass ones that were more popular with 90s and early 2000s shoujo anime. Sailor Moon, Tokyo Mew Mew, Clannad, Cardcaptor Sakura, you know what I mean. We've moved away from that look with time and eyes are becoming less massive even within the anime style, but I truly live and die for the classic big shiny anime girl eyes. The sparklier the better. They're adorable, and maybe it's because I grew up on Sailor Moon and Tokyo Mew Mew, but to me, they're just so quintessentially anime that I can never not love them, no matter how outdated and aged they come to be viewed in time. Number 4 is an anime art trope that most people either love or hate, with very few people in the middle that like or dislike it a normal, rational amount. The ahoge. That one gigantic hair that sticks out from the top of a character's head, almost like it's its own separate being, independent from the rest of the hair. This cowlick has become a staple trope in a lot of anime, and it elicits a burning hatred in so many people who just absolutely despise it. And I mean, I get it. It's silly, a lot of people think it's dumb, and especially when it's animated with ridiculously bouncy physics, it can look kind of ridiculous and even take away from the character's seriousness at times. But maybe it's because I spent my childhood watching Lucky Star and my teenage years playing Danganronpa, but I cannot hate this stupid little bouncy hair. It's so dumb and cute, and it gives me a little chuckle when it bounces impossibly high when characters move, and I enjoy that little chuckle. Let it live. Konata and Makoto are valid. Okay, 5th best anime art trope, when the animation style dramatically changes because of the character's mood. So either they become a raging, sobbing, or completely stunned chibi in a super simple style, or they're so dramatically deeply serious that their expression is hyper detailed to a degree that rivals JoJo's. It's such a fun trope that always makes me laugh by completely changing the scene's tone, and while I know some people hate it or think it's annoying, I love when a character goes from being drawn perfectly normally to suddenly being reduced to an exaggerated chibi by sheer power of whatever immense emotion they're experiencing alone. My favorite is when that emotion is rage and their chibi is towering over the tiny chibis of the people around them because, I mean, me too. The opposite end is just as good though. Like, hyper detailing a super serious character's face immediately makes me physically incapable of taking them seriously, and I love it. It's another one I would very much like to be able to do in reality. Like, if I could gravely announce that Tim Hortons discontinued the extreme Italian sandwich and still hasn't brought it back in 2023, and have the gravity of the situation be emphasized by a dramatic zoom in on my hyper detailed JoJo face, I feel like my life would be better. Not as much better as it would be if they brought that sandwich back, but better. Speaking of expressions, there are a lot of facial expression anime art tropes that I love, so I'm combining them all into one for number 6. The gigantic sweat drop whenever a character's just completely done with something, the angry vein that pops not just out of their forehead, but their entire head and hair, the eye sparkle that takes up a character's entire pupils when they're looking at something they like as much as I like the extreme Italian sandwich, the way they inexplicably lose pupils and the ability to reflect light when they're evil, crazy, or otherwise unhinged, and the way their irises shrink to like a third of their size when they're scared or mad. That last one is especially good if it's with a dramatic zoom in, like Chef's Kiss, yes. Unless it's with the fisheye angle zoom in, we all know how I feel about that. I'm so sorry, Atsushi. But these are like the staples of anime expressions by now, to the point that it's hard to find a series that doesn't use them, and for good reason. They're great. I wish my eyes would sparkle like giant pupil stars when I see that D'Angelo Wallace posted a new video, or shrink to tiny, horrified irises when I see that it's about Andrew Tate. That's the dream. Number 7 is kind of related, but less about expressions and more about mouths in particular. My two favorite anime art mouth tropes, the cat mouth and the shark teeth. I laughed so hard when so many people commented that their most hated anime art trope was the Studio Bones smile, which is like the most notorious and sometimes outright ridiculous example of the cat mouth. And I mean, I get it with that one to a degree, because the cat mouth is silly, and a lot of the scenes Studio Bones animates are decidedly not silly, so it's a little immersion breaking. But for the most part, the cat mouth is used less as a constant state of the character's mouth and more of a they're being smug or lazy right now, and naturally we gotta make them a straight up :3 cat face emoji. And I love it. That's why I specifically went out of my way to edit this sprite, even though it's one I don't use a lot, because it's got the right vibes, you know? The shark teeth are another anime trope staple that I love, because it logically shouldn't be cute for a character's mouth to look like a bear trap, and imagining that in reality is nothing short of horrifying. But for some inexplicable reason, in anime, it is cute. Soul's triangle teeth could probably sever a human hand, but I look at them and I'm just like, aw, he's just a little guy. I don't know, they're just adorable, and I don't know why I like them, but I do. Okay, next up, the 8th best anime art trope, the gravity-defying hair. And I'm not talking about hair that's a little fluffier or poofier than it could be in reality. I'm talking hair so powerful that gravity literally stands no chance at pushing it down. I'm talking Yugi, Goku, Vegeta, Yasuhiro, characters whose hair isn't just unrealistic, it's beyond the realm of physical possibility. Their hair is so strong that it defies science itself, and honestly, that's just a level of power I can only aspire to achieve. I love the impossible hair, mostly because it's just hilarious. Danganronpa is a dark-ass game, but seeing Hiro's inexplicable hair made it incredibly difficult to take those dark themes seriously without laughing at the sheer size of it, and the fact that it can point straight out as if it's a living creature independent of his body. And I love that. I need a comedy break from all the— well, I won't spoil the game if you haven't played it, but the point is that it definitely warrants the reprieve of some levity, however brief. The only time I see gravity-defying hair as a trope, as a bad thing, is in the context of cosplay, because my god, those poor wig stylists. But so many of them pull it off anyway, with copious amounts of hairspray and willpower, so it's not impossible. In conclusion, the sheer power housed within the gravity-defying hair is something that we have no choice but to admire, if not even fear. So of course the trope had to be on my list. Okay, number 9 is a trope that anyone who, like me, grew up watching Ouran High School Host Club knows well. The pretty person sparkle, otherwise known as the Bishi sparkle. Bishi comes from Bishonen, which is basically the Japanese equivalent of the term pretty boy for context. This trope is when a very attractive character, usually male but not always, has that attractiveness amplified tenfold by being drawn surrounded by copious amounts of sparkles, often accompanied by roses to really drive home the romantic vibe. I live and die for the Bishi sparkle, and have nothing but respect for the fact that these characters are truly so attractive that the force of their beauty alone generates light, and sometimes flowers. They deserve it. Good for them. Bonus points if it's not even in a romance anime, but like a relatively serious one. Some might say it's immersion breaking, but I would argue that that's even more impressive. The character is so pretty that the entire tone had to be shifted to accommodate that. I love it. Okay, finally, the 10th and last best anime art trope, and one of my all-time favorites, the magical girl frilly upgrade. And to be clear, I don't just mean magical girl transformations as a whole. I don't know if that even counts as a trope so much as just an aspect of a genre of anime. I mean when a character's magical girl transformed form is denoted as being an upgrade of their normal form by adding an exorbitant amount of frills to whatever their previous outfit was. Like, the number of frills on their clothes is directly linked to the amount of power that they possess. The poofier they are, the stronger their powers become. And some people argue that it's an overdone or lazy way to upgrade a character design, and I get that, but I don't know, I like it. I like frills in general, so maybe I'm biased in favor of this trope, but I think the frilly upgrade is a great way to make a powered up version of a character's normal outfit. Obviously in combination with other design additions, but still, when a magical girl transforms and is immediately 10 times frillier than before, I get serotonin. I support her. She deserves those frills. And there we have my top 10 best, most favorite anime art tropes. I'm sure a significant number of you absolutely hate at least one of them, so please drag me for my picks in the comments, because it's genuinely so funny to me to see how polarized everyone, including myself, can be over silly anime art tropes. Lightheartedly, of course. Please don't legitimately fight each other over whether or not Konata's cowlick is morally offensive. This is for fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, whether you agree with me or not. I'll be continuing this series with the best and worst art tropes in Western animation, so keep an eye out for that if you did. Thank you so much for watching. Special thank you as always to channel members Cafe Soleil, Joseph Solomon, TC Pratt, Zelda Deverak 42, King Good James, Art of Amethyst Fable, Haruki Kenway, and Scourge the Cat 67, as well as patrons Batman, Kyle Lowe, Blue Swanson, Cora Fear, Jamisha Walker, Elengshi, Kim Yuyen, Crazy Hisar, Gen Tong, Grayson Xavier, Milk Bean, MG, Blah Mage, TC Pratt, Finn, Grim Spectre, Celine Merriman, Ash, Eldritchia, The Stray Dog, Ulura, Greg Noble, Decagon, Chan, Jenny Chan, Captain Raku, Ryan M. Williams, and Catbus for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.